we are busy, and it's a weird thing because we are doing quite a lot of work for the health service. We do a number of hospitals, so that's busy. But then we've been really busy, mothballing, pausing all our venues, so we put like 1,000 people on this furlough government scheme. And now we're just start talking about, with some of the venues, about starting up again behind closed doors, and how do we do that, with a, what's called a bio secure green zone, which becomes the venue itself. And then you have an amber zone, outside the venue, which is the outside. And then we are arranging for, how do we divide the staff? How do we arrange that they get tested 48 hours before? They then need to get their results. They have to bring their results into the amber zone. In the amber zone, we will take their temperature. And if they're okay, they can go in and work. And then they work in small groups, because if anything happens once they're inside, we will have to send that whole team away to self-isolate. But also, if anybody's coming in shared transport, which we obviously have quite a lot of people where husband and wife works for us, or, whatever, they can't come in the same car, because if one can't be let in, the other one can't go home, so they'll be hanging about, which they can't hang about in that kind of amber zone. So it's quite a interesting challenge.
But this is this scenario for games behind closed doors.
Yes. Yeah.
So do you think this is realistic to start over with these tremendous amounts of efforts to keep everybody safe?
Yes, I think that we will definitely have games behind closed doors, because there's a lot of broadcasting revenue, for instance, in the football world, but there's also a lot of betting revenue in the horse racing world, and I think also it will be a good thing, because I think things has to start again, and I think it has to start gradually, while we find out how do we do it once we do it where there is spectators. So I think it's a good thing. We're seeing a couple of training grounds opening up, so players are training, and obviously as we get used to this sort of safe social distancing, a lot of things are possible. And you now have COVID-19 test that gives the results within 20 minutes. So you could really, once you get, for instance, the players, the media and whatever into the green zone, which is completely locked off area, it doesn't matter what kind of accreditation you have, you won't be able to come in unless you have a pass for that zone, yeah? And you could actually, I don't know if that will happen, but you could actually, once they're in there, you could do them another test, and you would within 20 minutes to 30 minutes know if any of those people were carriers.
How many people we are talking about if we speak about a Premier League game?
I think Premier League game, with people going into the green zone, I would think it's somewhere between 250 and 300 is my view. On horse racing, which is one of the ones we're working on quite intensely on at the moment for June, I think that'll be about 500. 500, yeah. Because you've got a lot more people involved with something like that. A day of horse racing is 6 or 7, 5 to 7 horse races, so there's different people who bring in horses, trainers, grooms, and all kinds of stuff. But also, it'll take up a lot more space because everybody has to be separated. But also the orange zone, that kind of area where you get all the supplies in, where you get all the people in, and you really look at it before people enter the green zone, is slightly easier for like horse racing tracks, motorsports tracks, and stuff like that, because they generally have more space. Whereas if you come into the city center where you have the big football stadiums, it's a bigger challenge. Obviously, it's also half the people, but it's also what do you do with supplies. So if you have supplies coming into the to the amber zone, that driver, who's the provider who comes with the supplies on the truck, the truck driver needs to stay in his truck, and we need to have people in there that will unload it, and then there will be other people who will come and take it into the green zone, and then depending on what kind of supplies it is, it will have to be disinfected.
So let's assume the horse race will start at 4 p.m. So the whole process has to start, it seems like 8 in the morning, until everybody is cleared to go in.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And obviously in the UK, in general, our first horse race is normally at about 12:30, 1:30 in the afternoon. So I think, so for instance, from our point of view, when we look at how we do it, is we have a number of night shifts the day before, so what we will do is we will do a deep clean, which is really in 3 main processes. One is our normal deep clean that we used to do before COVID-19, and then we will do a disinfectant of the whole site, which we will use a spray and various machinery. And then we will go in and put a virus shield on it, which is a special chemical. And that will work on surfaces and touch point for up to 30 days. And will protect against COVID-19 or any other virus that might sit on a door handle, on a tabletop, on a kick plate, on a glass, whatever. So, and that night shift, the night before, we would expect to be only the cleaners on site. So we get the whole site within the green zone, and I would also say within the amber zone, completely disinfected and protected with a shield. And then during the day of the horse racing day, we'll have small teams on site, looking after different areas, which is really about maintaining cleanliness and maintaining hygiene, touch areas, frequently areas that are frequently touched, but also that areas that has some concentration, catering facilities, media facilities, players facilities, or jockeys facilities.
I wanted to ask you that because in the UAE, they disinfected and cleaned everything, the malls, the streets, the metro, the taxis. But I didn't hear or see any other country doing all this. Is this really helping, working, protecting?
I think there's two things. I mean, you've also seen on the news, where people has come with fog machines, going down the middle of a street. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not qualified to judge that. But from what I've read, I'm not sure that has got a great effect, other than making some great pictures and whatnot. Disinfectant, I think, is very important if you've got people moving there, going through the site. Definitely you need to disinfect, because, the virus, and any virus can stay on hard surfaces up to, and 3 or 4 days. Yeah.
Mm.
If you haven't got any people going through, there's little point. We look after a number of shopping centres here in the UK, and they're all closed at the moment. So, we just do minimum cleaning there to maintain and keep health and safety for whatever security and maintenance that might be carried out. But obviously those centres will be completely disinfected before they reopen.
So you from Clean Event Services, obviously you have all these measurements and facilities and workforce in place. Are you part of a task force advising the government how to come back from this pandemic?
We are not. We are out there doing the work. We are quite fortunate that we look after. We have a number of markets, but we look after a number of hospitals. So we obviously pick up a lot of know-how and knowledge from there. And the 2 hospitals that we look after are completely 100% dedicated to COVID-19 patients. And one is 950 beds, one is 800 and something beds. So, these are big COVID medical centers. So we obviously pick up a lot of knowledge for there. And the key thing is you got to keep disinfecting. That is absolutely key.
So how is your work different, or what did change in the way you approach venues in terms of cleaning and disinfecting before the pandemic and now?
Yeah, I think that before, we were very much around the hygiene factor and the guest experience, or the visitors experience, the fan experience at if you talk specifically around stadiums. Now it's very much about the safety of the fans that are coming to enjoy the football match or the horse race, and making sure that we can help to provide a safe and secure environment for them, so that's the key focus at the moment.
Yesterday, I had a very interesting talk with Mark Fenwick from Spain. He designed 3 stadiums in Qatar. He did Valencia. So we discussed about the future, how fans can enter sports venues. And he developed a paper and said there are 2 crucial points. One is, of course, the social distancing, the personal comfort zone for the people. And the other important aspect is the touching, and the touching of things, elevator knob, door knob, door handle. And he said the future of using venues and enjoying games there will change dramatically. So basically, he was talking about your business. What do you think will change in the future?
Well, I think that a couple of things will influence that. Yeah, it is how will we be able to in a medical scientific way be able to confront this virus. Yeah. And obviously, there is a lot of work and resources being put onto that, for vaccines, for medicines that can treat, that can help speed up recovery and stuff like that. And there was some, good news around that in the press today, still to be proven. But I think that we will all learn as to probably be slightly further apart when we queue up to go into a stadium, to go into anywhere. I think that will become second nature. I think that people will work on how can be more things being voice controlled, technology-wise and stuff like that. But there's also a lot of work being put into how can you spray a chemical points that will ensure that there is no contamination and spreading of viruses. And we have chemicals today that we can use. Some has got a 4-day shelf life. Some of the more premium ones goes up to 30 days. And I think that there will be a lot more of that kind of spraying of what we call touch areas, being it door handles, lift buttons, control points of all kinds of stuff. And this can be sprayed onto electronic stuff now, and it will guard and form a shield against contamination and spreading of viruses.
So at the moment, basically, we are talking about two options: either the ghost games without spectators, or the situation where we have a vaccination or a medication. Do you think there is any option in between?
Well, there is, obviously. We've got these sort of closed games or games where there will be no, fans on site, which I think is a good start from where we are medical now. I think that's a good thing, and we can still enjoy the games on our TVs and through media overall. There might be a way in between where you only occupy, I don't know, like the airlines are talking about, every second seat, or people sit in the family groups if they're going together. That will obviously reduce the number of spectators at each event, which will put pressure on the finances and so forth. It could be that there is a sort of middle situation for a period of time like that. I'm hopeful that we will go back to where we were. Some of the diseases that we live with today, a number of 50 or 100 years back, there was really very deadly, just like the COVID-19 is today. But I do have great faith in our medical and scientists around the world that they will come up with some kind of vaccine cure to them.